Welcome back to The Takeout. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I told you earlier this week that labels or characterizations in primaries or politics writ large often obscure or blur reality. David Crowley, in some descriptions of the Wisconsin primary for governor, is described as the establishment candidate. Really? Someone who as a child saw parents ravaged by addiction and thus was evicted 3 times? The youngest Milwaukee County executive in Wisconsin history at age 33. First African-American in that post? Does that sound to you like a go-along, get-along establishment type? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Crowley's running against Democratic socialist Francesca Hong, the current frontrunner. Crowley was in this race, then he dropped out when he looked non-competitive. Then this race got scrambled, and he jumped back in. When he jumped back in, he got the support of outgoing Governor Tony Evers. Complicating all of this, candidates who have left this race are still on the ballot. David Crowley joins me now for this complicated situation. David, not my words, not anyone else's words, your words. Describe what kind of Democrat you are.
I'm a get stuff done Democrat. You know, I spent 7 years in the state capitol as a legislative staffer, as a state representative, was chair of the Milwaukee delegation, as well as the Black Legislative Caucus. And for the past 6 years, I've been leading the largest county in Wisconsin. I represent 19 different cities and villages, close to 1 million people. And my job is to deliver for every single person who lives in every community across Milwaukee County. And that's what I plan on doing as the next governor of Wisconsin.
There is, as you know, David, a kind of panic button mentality going across some parts of the Democratic Party nationally about Democratic socialists in New York, Colorado. Abdul El-Sayed just won the Democratic Senate primary in Michigan. Are you someone who can relieve that panic button motif?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is really about making sure that we can ultimately reach our goal and making sure that there's not a Republican or MAGA occupying the governor's office here in Wisconsin. I not only have served in the legislature, but I have the experience. I've actually gotten things done. You know, as a county executive, we've invested over $50 million in affordable housing, right? We have lowered our overdose deaths by 40% in just 4 years. We have the lowest unsheltered homeless count per capita than any community in the United States. And so this isn't necessarily a conversation just about left or right or blue and red. It's about right and wrong. It's about have or have nots. And, you know, having the governor's endorsement means that he believes in my judgment. He believes in my leadership. But more importantly, he knows that I can coalesce people across the political spectrum to build the necessary coalition to win in November.
But David, you know this. My audience might know this. Earlier in this race, there was a convention. You were going to come in fourth. You dropped out because you just didn't have the requisite support. Then you jumped back in. As I mentioned, a lot of this race is scrambled. Is it too little, too late?
Look, this race has been chaotic. It has been messy, but that's what our democracy looks like. It can be chaotic, can be messy. But I will tell you that in the past few weeks, since we have relaunched this campaign, we have seen tremendous momentum, not only receiving the endorsement of Governor Tony Evers, we received the endorsement of Congresswoman Gwen Moore, labor unions all across this state, progressive leaders, and community members who want somebody who's going to be able to build a bigger table. You know, I have a community organizing background, and I was told that if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And many of our farmers, our rural communities, our young people, seniors, entrepreneurs, they feel like they've been on the menu because nobody has allowed them to lend their voices to the solution. And so right now, we need to continue to do all this work. Yes, it's great to have the level of support and momentum that we have, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a cakewalk. And so I'm going to continue to travel across this state to make sure that we can actually win this election.
David, to that point of it not being a cakewalk, the available polling data publicly has you down 18 to 22 points. You only have a couple days left to close that.
Well, the one thing that we know about the polls out there is that not all of it is actually accurate. And I think we've seen that particularly with what happened in Michigan, because none of us or the candidates thought that we'll be waiting until Wednesday morning to figure out who won that election. And Wisconsin is much different than Michigan, right? Like, you know, we're a lot more older and less diverse as Michigan. But at the end of the day, people are looking for electability. And when they look at my record, when they look at my experience being an executive and how we've brought Democrats, Republicans, and independents, especially those who are exhausted by MAGA to the table, they're looking at this campaign. And so to have this momentum that we've had in the past couple of weeks, we have to make sure that we don't leave no stone unturned. And so looking forward to traveling all across this state. We've been in Rhinelander, Wausau, Ashland, Bayfield, Hudson, you name it. And even in these rural communities, we're having hundreds of people show up. And so we're just going to continue to capture this lightning in the bottle, continue to have the governor alongside me on the campaign trail. So come August 11th, we not only give our victory speech, but we focus on uniting this party on August 12th.
David, another David in the Democratic Party, David Axelrod, wrote on social media earlier this week that your opponent, Francesca Hong, currently leading in this race, is, quote, a font of zany, liberal, faculty lounge exotica. Agree or disagree?
I'll let Mr. Axelrod say what he's going to say, but at the end of the day, I'm focused on
But you believe you're more
what I need.
electable than Francesca Hong. Why? Do you believe she's outside of the mainstream of Wisconsin?
Well, I believe that I am more electable than her, than any of these candidates because of my background, what I've been able to do. We have been able to bring unions to the table, teachers to the table, healthcare workers, childcare workers to the table to make sure that they're getting ahead and can take care of the families in this state. What makes me more electable is the fact that we have built authentic relationships, not transactional ones. We are not running this campaign on slogans. We are leading with leadership, executive leadership, and being honest to the public about what we can and cannot do. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're not just fighting against this Trump administration because of all the harm that they have done in this community. But I want to make sure that we're organizing because we believe in the same goals, not because we hate the same thing. And so we know that from seeing all of the TV interviews and seeing many of these tweets that she may not be ready for prime time, but I'm focusing on winning other people's votes in this state. And because I don't look at, running in a primary as running against them, I'm running for the votes of Wisconsinites.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.